Oh, there it is. Yeah. Quiet down.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
My first church I go to, Elevation Church, actually won last night.
Oh, really? Wow. Pretty sweet.
Mhm.
It's a good church. Okay.
Hello. Hi.
They're coming in.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. No. Sorry,
Hey,
I'm just getting out of work, so I'm gonna go on audio while I get changed, but I'll be back. Hi, Portia.
All good. All
Hey,
good.
Portia. How are you?
How's Michael doing?
Good, my man.
Good.
I'm doing good.
Hey,
Okay.
Michael. You're in the different spot today. You're at home.
What's that?
You're at home.
No. No. I'm at a
You're in
friend.
different spot.
Yeah, I'm at a friend's house.
Wow, that's cool.
See, I'm
All right,
very.
Harold says hi. Are you gonna put us on mute? I'm gonna be here. I'll be right.
Yeah. When we get started. Once we get started here in a couple minutes, I'm gonna put everybody on mute, and then we'll just so that we last week. Some of the stuff is when we all unmute or unmute you guys and we talk. What it does on the recording side, is it blocks the other person. Like one person is talking, but somebody chimes in for a second, it blocks a big gap of the person talking. So I'm just gonna let's use the hand things that Portia taught us this week. Click on your little dash and put your hand up and I see it and I'll just unmute that person then if somebody has one. So it'll just be easier that way and then we can hear everything everybody's saying and we're not talking over each other. And especially for the recording, because other people come in later and watch this and I never watched anything back for a year and a half. So I didn't notice that until somebody told me. I don't watch any of my videos. I don't watch recordings ever. So I wouldn't know unless it was brought up to me. So easier way to do it. This way we can all talk and hear what we have to say too. So I don't know if you all got a chance to watch the message, but it was really good. Chad seemed fired up in the message. It was the last of that series. So the power and the praise and this is also the last in this season of our Connect group until May 15th. So that's just the ZOE one. Okay, so ZOE we know is every other week and they do seasons. This is the very last time we're going to meet for ZOE in this season and then it picks up again May 15th. That doesn't mean we're stopping Real Raw and Flawed. We're going to do that every Monday now. It's not going to be every other. It's going to be every Monday all the way through. We're not going to miss Mondays. So we'll continue to do that. But tonight's the last ZOE one. We're going to do the discussion until May. The exciting thing about that is the new season starts and then Portia will be starting her own Connect group. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what it's about yet. I don't know if she knows. Maybe she does. She'll share it with us later, but next season, so May 15th, when we start again, she'll be starting a Connect group and I'm sure she'll share all the information with us and send us stuff. And, we should all go over there as well and connect with that one. And I'll be the first to say I'll be happy to join because then I can sit here and take a breath and not talk and listen to somebody else. Can everybody believe that? I'm not going to talk. Is that amazing? No, I'll be chiming in all the time. I'm raising my hand. I'm muting myself. gonna take over her podcast. But no, so that's a good thing. That's exciting. So just another one keeps growing. There's 67 or something this past season. Next season, there's already 12 more people I know that are going to start, including Portia. So it's growing huge. So it's really fun to see. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, Chad seemed fired up in this last message, closing out the series. And entitled the same main title of the series, but it was Praising Through Pain. And there was some really cool stuff. The one that really stuck out to me the most, and I was listening again today, was it was like super. I don't know if it's powerful to me, but he said we are all one phone call away from being on our knees. And it's the truth. And all he's really saying is that even when everything is going well, we don't know what's going to happen at any given moment. We've talked about this before, but the way he said it was just so powerful because it's ultimate perspective on our lives. Like nobody has worse pain than another. We always are talking about this every week, that our stories are narrated differently, but they're the same feeling of pain through our eyes. Because there's no comparison. We don't compare each other. It's not like, because you lost somebody, a human, I lost my dog, that you're gonna say that I feel less than you. It's just narrated differently. The script's written differently. The director's doing different movies. So it's not about comparative pain. It's just about having empathy towards the person going through the pain and standing up for them and being there for them when they need you, so that vice versa is happening. So when he said that one stuck out to me big in the message, that, we're all one phone call away from being on our knees. Could be, and being on our knees is not devastation, by the way. You know what I love watching online? Like, this is one of my guilty pleasures. I love watching like America's Got Talent or The Voice when they first pick, like the first shows where they actually pick a raw talent, where they turn around and that person gets that news, or they get a golden buzzer. Like that part, to me, like that true raw feeling of a proud moment, the family crying, like that moment, that's a drop to your knees moment, right? So it's not just a phone call, it's of devastation, but we're one phone call away from our knees. I mean, it can be anything. So, but he was, in honor of the message, he was talking about pain and praying through it, and getting through any hard time with the grace of God, and having him on your side, and knowing that he, even if it is painful to you, it's part of it. He's involved in it. We don't like to say that out loud, like that God's a part of your pain, because like, well, why would he do that to you? But he's doing it for you. It's happening for us, right? Not to us, as we always say. So the first point, I'm just going to run through the points that he harped on. And the first one was praising through the pain, obviously was the title of it. But he says, praise is where problems get smaller and God gets bigger. Right? So what do you do when you're going through pain? He talked about it being so much easier to go down the path of the pain, like lean into the feeling of it's happening to me, and what do I do? Or, oh my God, it's unbearable. I can't get through it. And he's talking about, in that moment, he's talking about that these problems get smaller when God gets bigger in your life. When you lean more into the praise to him and the trust in him, that these problems start to be a little more minuscule, and they're not as big and as bad as you think they are. The third point was praise is where I get out of my feelings and into my faith. This is another big one I thought was pretty profound when he started discussing that. And we're all guilty of getting caught up in our feelings, like especially sometimes when those feelings aren't even true. Just having a conversation with a friend the other day about, like, when you meet somebody new or meet a friend or relationship or anything, it is even something new, relationship at work, it's like has this excitement, and we have these, like, this area of time in relationships. They say it's the first 3 months, but doesn't matter how long it is, this area of time where we're telling each other like little small fibs about each other, and we're acting a little different than we normally do, and we're doing things we normally wouldn't do, and all to try to protect this thing that we think is great in front of us, this relationship or this idea of another person or what it is. And we become somebody else, right? Even though we met that person on terms of being you, we become somebody else, and we let things down that are ours, and we give up things and we sacrifice things that is us to try to hold on to something we don't even know yet. We don't understand yet, right? So like we get into our feelings, and it takes us off path sometimes and out of line. But I think what I took from him saying that was like, if we can get out of our feelings and be above it, that if we stick to our faith, which is the most consistent thing we have, we won't be misguided so often. We have something to go back to. Our faith is consistent. God is consistent, right? He's constantly consistent for us. He's always there, right? The good, the bad, all of it. So if you rely on something consistent in your life, which people are not always, right? People are inconsistent. And that's why we get in our feelings. We get hurt through expectation, and we get in our feelings. We forget that the only thing that matters is the biggest relationship is with our creator, and that he's most consistent, and we have trust in him. If we can get in our faith and get out of our feelings, that we don't have to go through that pain that we think that is. And the fourth one was, this is the one. So this is the one that Portia quoted on Instagram post. So praise stirs me when the world is trying to shake me. So I'm going to actually once we go through all the points, when I unmute Portia, I'm going to let her talk on that, just because she did post it, and I want her to talk on what that means to her. So he was talking about praise stirs me when the world is trying to shake me. So everybody's felt that shook feeling in life, and what do you do about it? So I'm gonna let her talk more on that. And then the fifth point was praise opens my eyes to see God's goodness. Right. So they saw the more you praise, the closer you are in the relationship. It's like the more you spend time in your relationship, the closer you are to the person. The more you spend time with details in the relationship, the better the relationship is. Right. The more you put some things aside sometimes and put them first, and vice versa, you start to see reciprocation. You start to see, hey, you okay? You okay? Holy cow, dude, I thought I was losing you there. Don't be doing that crap. Don't be choking on our time. Choke on your own time, dude. Oh, you okay? All right. All right. Raise your hand next time. All right. And then praise is the gift I bring, was the last thing you kind of talked about. And it's the gift we give back to him. Like, what are we supposed to give back? Like all the goodness that God is, that gives us this abundance, everything you wake up and everything you see with your eyes that's around you, that's been given to you. You know, he jokes about it like, you think you're so hot or so cool or so sexy, you have the coolest job, and people, that's why people, no, it was given to you by the grace of God. Like your things that you have is not your doing, it's his. So he joked about that at the end, but what do we do in return for all that's been given to us? And he's saying praise is the gift that you give back. So praising is the gift you're giving back to him. So all the points this week, I felt Chad in a way through the message a little bit. I think he was a little more involved or this week something, but he was fired up about the message, and he was delivering it in a way that I just think was a lot more passion to it, and he was really behind it, and it really hit home and settled in really good this week. And like I said, some of the parts that he hit were just it just meant a lot more, and usually it's because I'm thinking about these things, right? Today I was writing the email to you guys that I send out through the church to let you guys know about tonight. And I was actually, my computer was down because I was doing some work for a golf project. I put the computer down, it turned off. It was on the floor, it turned off. I was on my phone. I was having a conversation about past, like I was telling a story about the past and something that affected me in my past. I was talking about the story and my computer kicks on and goes right to this message from Chad of Hebrews 12:2, and it talks about laying down the past troubles and setting forth. It was like started talking. I'm like, what in the? It's on the floor behind me. It's off. It just fires up. The thing fires up, and I'm like, okay. So I picked up the computer. I'm like, we better listen to this. Obviously, it's a message. So I listened to the whole thing, and it's like it couldn't be more about the conversation I was having. It's awkward. And then I look at it like 5 minutes later. It's from August 31st, 2020. I wasn't even looking at anything on that board from then. Wasn't even in there. Wasn't in that page, nothing. I don't know. So obviously I needed to hear it in the moment and it played for me. So I gotta be listening more. Portia, do you want to touch on, because you did quote that, did you quote that because it was on top of your mind, or did that part stand out to you, or did it mean something big to you, or what?
I think I like the whole message, honestly, but yeah, I think like if I hear praying through the pain, like to me, that sounds like you can't hold on to anger and praise at the same time, right? Just like you can't be grateful and angry at the same time. And so it's always the mustard seed of faith. Like you have to, like, that's the smallest amount of faith that you need. And I think that it's believing that God will always carry you through the storm, that you will never not be taken care of. And I truly believe that it's the breakdown that leads to the breakthrough, right? The pain that leads to the purpose. And knowing that, like we talked about last week, it's always like God is always delivering the blessings. Every good and perfect gift comes from above, because it's learning to, I think of faith and I think of trust, right? It's trusting in God's divine timing. And so I know Chad talked about this and like talking about how God restores double for your trouble, right? And so like everything always comes back to you tenfold. And I truly believe that as well. And that I feel that, however, though, here's the thing, like it's only when you are in this vibrational frequency of having the faith to receive God's blessings. And I think that's so important, because faith is truly a way of being, right? It's not like something that you do, it's who you be. And so it's part of your personality. And I'm faithful because I choose to be faithful, right? And then I live a faithful life. And like, it's knowing that your personality is going to create your personal reality, or what it's going to be the reflection of what you will get out into this world. And it's remembering like God's spirit lives inside of you. I know Chad spoke about that. Like we are spirit, right? And when, like, I always say, when I walk in spirit, I walk inspired, right? And there's nothing that you can't do, and there's nothing that he can't do for us. And so it's only when we believe, though, right? Like it's believing that God will always carry you, and knowing that like when you praise him and he brings you everlasting life, right? And so it's when we get into the spirit of God that he talked about this. It was like point number 4 of seeing clearly, right? That he's always guiding and providing, and the blessings, like we said, everything is perfect from above and whatnot. But when we give our pain away to, and we get shaken, right? We give our pain away to something outside of us, out into this world, because we're in that weak moment, and we think that it's the quick cure or the solution that we need. And we think that it's going to take away the pain temporary, right? It's a temporary solution. And so that's when we may miss the best blessings, right? Because sin blinds you and binds you, right? And so that's why it said, like, give it to God, not something temporary outside of you, not putting your trust in something unfaithful, because that will lead to more pain. And it feels good, like we said, in the moment, but that's just falling into the pattern of knowing that we don't trust in God, right? Because like you said, God is always the constant thing. He's always going to be permanent. and he's always going to be there first. And so it's like, for me, faith is always going to be about trusting in him and trusting in himself and knowing and believing, not wishing and hoping, right? It's knowing and believing that when we let faith determine our circumstances, not our circumstances determine our faith, like there's nothing that God is never not working in our lives, even on the darkest of days. And knowing that we have to have the gratitude for where we are and for where we're going, even if we're in the darkest of times. And it's really like when we trust and we walk with our heart open, we allow him to stir us up and give us that opportunity to lead faithfully. And the last point that I want to talk about is Chad said to listen to yourself instead of talking to yourself, right? And so we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and we always talk about this, but like the most important things are what we tell ourselves, and remembering what we say is so powerful. But remembering that most of the time, like the junk that we tell ourselves is truly a false and exaggerated made up story, right? We totally exaggerate it and put it out of context. And if we were to take the time and slow down and to really tune in and listen to it, most of the time it sounds silly, right? And so I always think that you have to remember that worry is a down payment on something you may never buy. And that can get really, really expensive, right? And like, it adds up quickly, and that's the perfect way to drain what we call the spiritual bank account. And right, you go spiritually bankrupt because put your trust and your faith in something outside of you, knowing that God is in you and you have everything you need inside of you, right? And so like when we do that, we just continue down the negative cycle. So it's really about the trust and the faith. And I think you always have to have gratitude.
Yeah, no, it's so good. That last point you were saying about when he brought up, what we tell ourselves, he talked about, we see what we pay attention to, and that is true. He uses a van as an example. Like you got a minivan and all of a sudden you realize everybody in the world has minivans, you didn't know how many are out there. But it's truthfully the way the brain works. We see what we pay attention to, but I've always preached that, but what I liked that he said after that was, I think, more important. It was, we see what we pay attention to. So if you're praising God, you're getting closer to him. You're getting a close relationship. You're building that trust, that faith, all those things. And you have somebody that truly supports you no matter what, all the time. But as the same is true, we see what we pay attention to. If we're paying attention to how God never shows up for you when you ask for things, and how he's never been there for you, and you've had it worse than everybody else, and God's never been there in your life and shown up and supported you. If you tell yourself those things, if that's what you're paying attention to, that is true. That's what you will see. You will see the lack of God in your life. You will see the lack of faith in your life, and you will see things build up on itself, as Portia was touching on too. So we see what we pay attention to. It's the truth, and you can prove it to yourself every day. Go buy something you really like. You're going to find 5 dudes that are wearing the same shirt at the bar next week. This is what life is. We pay attention to it because now it's ours and it's more important to us. It's no different than praising or spending time and trusting in your faith or God or your creator, whatever it is. You'll see the rewards come out of it as you pay attention to it, because they'll start to show up. So, Crystal, did you want to say something, or did you lean on the hand button?
I want to say something.
Crush it. I love your background, by the way. Are you proud? Are you proud of that victory?
Mm-hmm. I was crying last night. So God's like giving us like an opportunity to roll down like our minds, like to touch our like past, and like the past is try to say this, like give you like advice to in your future, or something like that, because like God's like willing to make a sacrifice with us, like in our race. Like every time we think about God, maybe we have up and downs, or we having a good life, but sometimes good life is like a on the side of our path. And sometimes people like need to know what Pastor Chad said like yesterday. It's like giving more blessings to
Mhm.
know like God's like giving us something to learn or something to learn about.
That
And
is
learning
good.
about like
Good.
everything, like Pastor Chad said yesterday, is like touching people's lives,
Yeah.
every day. Like if people not know about that yet, but you wrote down your problems or anything like that. Sometimes I worry about my problems too. And I wrote down every day what's my problem every day.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
yeah.
something wrong or something right,
I like that.
But
I
like
like that.
every day, like if we have issues, just write it down. Incredibly nice. I blur out social media, like people not need to your TMI about your life or something like that.
Yeah.
Because like people have struggling like these days, like financially, mental healthly, or something like that. God's like giving us his heart to us. Like I know Jesus' death is coming up. Jesus died for us in the cross,
Yeah.
Um,
Hey,
but it's a blessing. You do.
Crystal, you know who Jay Shetty is? You ever heard of Jay Shetty?
No.
So Jay Shetty said this thing one time. He's a world renowned like mental health, nutrition health, like in the health podcast in the world. But
Just see, like he's the Indian guy.
yeah.
Oh my God, I know him.
Okay, so he said something pretty profound on a podcast here today with Big Sean, and it was talking about it's exactly what Chad was saying.
I love about him because like he's learns about people's control and
Yeah.
the mental health or advice about people's relationships or
Yeah.
do with a sour breakup.
So he said this thing. He said that we have to start learning how to respect the good things that are happening in our life, and like you were kind of saying, to say them out loud. So we take for granted that a simple thing like your plane being on time, that's a success for the day. But if it was 10 minutes late, the first person your wife calls you or something, your kids are, hey, what's going on? Oh, my freaking plane was late. Then we were on the tarmac for we always are quick to list the problems that are happening in our life, but never share the many successes that happen all through the day. And he was picking fun at it a little bit, but him and Big Sean were talking about how to, from day to day, literally look at life slightly differently. Look at the blessings in life. Look at the things that are happening for you all the time. And that's the praise part Chad's talking about. Like, what is happening on a daily basis, not in this long-term goal thing you have in the window that's like, I want this job and this life and this house, and I wish this was better. And all these big ideas up here, or your family pushes on you or your friends, but literally as small as going up that you woke up and your eyes open and you have one more chance at it. You have the 84,000 seconds in a day, like again, every single day. What are all the micro successes all day long? It's like, that's awesome. That's That's amazing. Because the simplest things can be like small little miracles. I mean, it really is that finite in our life. And we're so used to having this planet feed us, like this planet's here for us, when it's completely the other way around. We were put here to preserve what's here, be in service of other people. We were supposed to be here to take care of what was given to us, so that the next generation comes behind us is allowed to then do the same thing. And instead, we've turned into this society of people that believe that this is here for us. So that, these micro things are supposed to be happening for me, man. It's not a success. I'm supposed to get that. Okay. This plane's supposed to be on time. It should be early, actually. You know, I shouldn't
I
get
want to
crazy.
add something.
No.
So
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just,
okay, I
yeah.
want to add one more thing before someone
Yeah, go
has
ahead.
their hand up. Like in some book, people like God like giving us like a opportunity, like has a jobs or giving us like a position or anything like that. But buying your dream car is like cost you like millions of dollars to have. That's not good. You know, like that's not good to have because like you spend your money, spend your finances, spending your debt, like credit to buy your own car. Keeping up with it is not good at all. But
Yeah,
anyways, I want someone,
that's a good
let
point.
someone to go.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Amber, I'm muted.
Unmute.
There
Hi
you go.
guys. Great conversation. I love it so much. Yeah, like, oh my God, we talk about humility all the time. Like, I love what Crystal said about like, there's always the predictors too. Like, we know that we're the storms and we're the weather and we're nature. And so we have ebbs and flows and we're having bad moments, we're having good moments. And that faith that like the sun is going to rise tomorrow or my heart's going to beat through the night or whatever it is. And, you know, staying humble and having the gratitude for every little thing and looking around at the miracles and thinking about how much most of us will like die not knowing just about the earth itself or like the things that are already here, you know, not even just people's thoughts, but there's so much to constantly learn. And I love like the thought of God as kind of like a patriarch or father in that way of we get to be the child always, like we always get to be learning. We can always come from a place of learning and awe. Like we can never, ever, 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 ever know enough. We talk every single week and we're still all constantly perplexed by life, like every moment of it all day. Like it's just mind blowing, you know, and we have kind of a handle, like we're, you know, articulating ourselves and we're sharing and we're connecting and all these things. And we still don't know anything, right? And the more we know, the less we know. Like it's just so I love that we get to be a child and that we get to learn for the rest of our lives. And if we stay in that humble, small place of like how big the universe and the potential of love, the potential of connection, the potential of faith, the potential of what we could be and, you know, create together is beyond anything. We really don't have time to think about anything else. It's amazing. So I love this conversation. And yeah. That's what came out.
What an amazing thing to bring up there. I love that, what you said about we're never going to be the parent in the situation with the relationship with God. We're in any aspect of life. We're the kid and then we become the parent. That's probably the hardest thing we do as humans, is knowing if we're doing the right thing. You know, anybody that has children here, I mean, Jason, you can speak on this. Like it goes from this life to now you have humans that you created. And now you're trying to figure out, did I live my life in model to them, or what do I do to show them better? And it becomes this thing and it's a whole new life for you. Right. But like Amber said, that what a great point of view. Like we're never going to flip that role with this one relationship in our lives. Never. Because we'll never know enough and be enough. We got to keep striving to that, modeling that way to get as much information and be in service of other people as possible. And we're always the child in the situation, always.
And can I just add a little ad lib to that?
Yeah,
Just what I want to hear what
I
want to hear what Jason has to say. What came up for me just then is that, God will be our eternal parent, but oh my God, like poor Jason and every other parent that lives on earth, because you don't even, right? Like, you're like, oh wait, I'm in charge. Okay. Hold on. You know, like you do gain wisdom and you do grow up and you do have new skill sets, but at the same time, if there weren't mirrors, you're like, wait, I thought I was 18. Holy crap, my kid's 18. Like it's got to be mind blowing. So imagine how God feels about all of us. Like, holy crap.
Jason, what do you got to say on that?
What I was going to say, yesterday, it seemed like we were 20. Now we're 48. And so we need to do stuff now. Because hate to say it, tomorrow we're going to be 7. We may not see it. So, and just like we try, like you just brought up my boys, I'm trying, this all you can do.
But don't you feel like you were just that boy not too long ago, trying to figure it out? And now you're trying to teach it?
Now I'm trying to teach it. And now it's like, someday I'm going to have grandkids. It's we're 20, we're 45. Next thing I know, we're 70. We need to do it now and hope we're doing it right.
I love that piece of advice. I love that piece of advice. That what a great thing to even say, just do it now is always the answer. Like, don't wait for anything because you don't have time. Sometimes you have to grow up quick and you don't get the amount of time you felt like you're going to have to grow up to be an adult and figure it out. Because then you have to be a different person for other people. So that's a great point. Do it now. Always do it now. I don't feel my age, but when I look back, it's like I felt like I was in my 20s 10 minutes ago. It's weird to think about it. And it's weird to think about how much time goes by. But yeah, you're right. Do it now. Because what other time do we have, right? We don't guarantee anything besides the moment we're in. So
no.
I love that concept of one, Amber, what you brought up, being constant child. We'll never take over that role. And we're not supposed to. And then what Jason said, look, you're 20, then you're 45. We're not going to have the time that we always think we want or need to grow up or whatever that means, or become our highest version, because that's a constant thing we have to be in tune with. We have to constantly be on top of that. And then when you have kids, which I don't, but I can only imagine, it's like, well, I'm teaching me and now I got to teach them at the same time while I'm teaching me to be better. And I'm not sure that I'm
that's
there.
A fact.
Yeah, it's a wild thing. And I envy parents. I have the most respect for parents in this world because it's life. It's what we're here for. It's creation. You're making another human. And now you have to guide that human through the life that you're trying to navigate through. It's wild and big to think about, but it's the message that Chad just preached, right? You got to keep your praise in God, the consistency, this thing that's always there. If you ever have questions about how you're doing, you always have that person to ask and back you up always. You're never alone. You're not isolated. I've felt isolated for a long time in my life, and I felt like I was alone. I felt I was seeing what I was projecting. And I was that person that felt that way, that, I was away from the church forever because I was like, God's not showing up for me. He's never done anything for me I didn't do for myself. I never asked anybody for anything. I never asked for money. Like I made my own way and he didn't show up for me. And it was just me. And I kept projecting that. So that's what kept coming up in my life. And that's the only thing I saw. I mean, I paid attention to what I was saying. Right. So we all have the choice to change our narrative in our head. And it's not always easy to just do what we say. But man, it feels good when we do. Jason.
What I was going to say is, long story short, my boys are growing up. My youngest is 16. And, we were all 16 once. And when you're 16, you don't tell your parents everything. You're just kind of quiet. And you ask how your day was. It's just, good. And so I catch myself say, before I was always say, go vacuum or go mow the grass or go out and do this, go out and do that. I was always trying to be the good guy too, but I didn't praise. Like I was always saying, hey, you're doing that awesome. You're doing this awesome. What you were just talking about. Yeah. That just made me think. And now I'm trying to start conversations. Hey, Cooper, that was freaking awesome what you just did. That was awesome. Thank you for helping me load the stove. I'm trying to interact with them more than I used to because he's 16. He's his own person now. And when you're 16, you don't talk to your parents as much. Yeah. So I'm constantly trying to praise him a little bit, but still be his dad too. So you got to praise too to try and get good things out.
I love that. You just gave me goosebumps when you said that, because it reminded me of something that I've been trying to do my whole life, was get that simple thing out of my parents. And my mom overly did it for a long time, and I didn't really feel it was intentional, but my dad never did it.
I'm not that good at it, but now I'm starting to feel It's like, wow, my last kid, he's 16. And I honestly, I try, I really do, but it starts making you think when they're 16, even the other ones, I was like, my other two boys, it's like, wow, you did this good. You're doing this good. You're trying to start a conversation, which I ain't the greatest on it, but because I'm always saying, go out and stack the wood, go out and do this, or, you know, but I'm trying to turn it around where they'll talk to me. So I don't know how else to say
I
that.
think you nailed something on the whole, the parenting thing for me. Again, I'm not a parent, but I think you nailed something in the part of how do you navigate through teaching anybody in life when you're not getting much from them, right? It's a 16-year-old's job to piss you off most of the time, really. Like,
Yeah, that's a fact.
it's kind of their job, and they don't.
Yeah, that's a fact.
They definitely don't want to share a whole lot of personal stuff with you because you're their parent.
No.
You're really close to them, and it doesn't feel. But what if we were different in how we parented? What if we were?
That's what I'm trying to change.
What if we were more like, I'm going to ask you 3 times in different ways to try to feel you comfortable opening up to me. Not be okay with the answer. You're fine. Like most teenagers are going to tell you, okay, now do your chores. So it's an interesting thing to think about. And I think you hit it on the head. I mean, it's
hard being a parent. I'll tell you that. You're always trying to figure something out. I mean, just like last night, my 16-year-old went down to his room. He was mad at me and I'm sitting here going, oh, crap, I can't go to bed this way. You know, it's just, but you got to be a parent too, but it's hard. And so I'm trying to change the way I do stuff too, but I don't know. I'm pretty hard-headed too.
Well, at least you're aware of it. And that's the beginning of it. And that's the beginning part. So.
Yep.
Crystal, you're waving 2 hands?
I tried. So, I want to say to Jason, like, I'm say comment to Jason what he said. So, I feel your pain because I was the same age as your son back in the day. Sometimes I listen to my grandma, my adopted mom, and sometimes I feel like uncomfortable talking about my feelings, you know, but like it's those small moments that you have a chance to have a parent. Like, you know, Jason's very concerned by his son. Like, yeah, I know that much because my grandmas do the same thing. My abuelita, the same thing every day. Word by me, say, you better call me. You better call me kid. And I was like, well, I'm stuck with a Latina grandparents word by me every day, 24/7. So, but I feel like God's like giving us like second chance to realize that sometimes we make mistakes, or sometimes we have challenges in our way, like God's way, not the Mother Nature way, you know. But like every day, like I feel like Jason, what he's saying, it's like I know teens sometimes they not want to talk to the parents sometimes because they want to hang out with friends, like chat with them, and then like the next thing you know, they'll stay out late and then come back home early and everything. But me and example, I was not supposed to hang out with my friends because my grandma not let me to. So I feel his pain.
I love
so
that.
Jason, I know you're being through.
Thank you for sharing that. Amber.
I just wanted to say, Jason, you're so courageous, and it's so awesome because like people get stuck in all kinds of ruts, and like that includes our personality and our narrative and what we think is normal and how we cope and our go-to, like, you know, how we act or how we respond to people or things. And like the best news in the whole world, like the woke part of this whole new reality, is that every single day you have a choice and you can be anything you want. You could get up and be like, hey son, you want to go out and you know, just take a walk with me here this morning? Or, you know, like Michael said, ask 3 different ways the same question and don't accept fine without any kind of frustration. But yeah, you don't have to be any kind of way you've ever been, or you can be parts of that or anything. And that goes for all of us any day of our life. Like we can choose conflict, or we can choose resolve, or, you know, we can choose to add to the conversation and make it interesting. And ice cream always helps. So you're doing awesome, buddy.
All right. Oh, the old fashioned con. The balance between being the father and friend, right? Yeah, we had a father that was trying to be our friend. Well, at least my relationship was just trying to be my friend and know how to be a father. So I think it's probably hard for anybody to draw the line between this strict rule parenting of like your guidance and just you're a kid too in your mind. You're not even grown up yet, and you still want to have a life and live that way. And unmute it. There you go.
Watch their faces sometimes, or whatever, your nephews or whatever. Just watch their faces sometimes when they're used to you always saying, go out and do that and do that. Then out of the blue, like 2 days later, hey, you want to go out? Like Amber just said, hey, let's go out for a walk, or let's go down for some ice cream. They look at you like you're on drugs or you're stupid.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
like, huh?
Dad's going through early dementia. I think he's looking at run to your mom. Dad just asked me to go for a walk. Something wrong with him. That is
you're doing good, Michael.
That is it. I think when I had this great conversation with a friend the other day about like, we only know what we know. We're programmed to understand what we grew up in, and like our parenting and what was around us and who was around us and what they said and what we thought were like the only way of living and the rules and when to get married and when to have kids and why you should, and all these things, and these really just constructs of a life that they're of protection. They're trying to keep you from, because that's what they knew. So breaking the chain sometimes makes you sound crazy. It does. It makes you sound on an island by yourself and a little bit nutty. Like, what do you mean?
Well, just like,
I mean, but at least you're interesting, you know, like I don't, you know, my whole like slogan, if like you had a slogan that went with you everywhere you went on your forehead or your t-shirt, would literally just be like,
What are you, Mike Tyson? Face tattoo?
Entertain me, like, you know, like don't bore the gods, like give me something interesting, like let's go there, whatever it is, you know. And so you get to be that person, you know. And now you have like 3 adult men as your peers and friends in life. So imagine the things you guys are going to do and experience together that are going to have nothing to do with mowing the lawn. You know, it's going to be awesome. There's a lot to look forward to.
Well, hey, Amber, what's funny is I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I should have girls coming to the house all the time because I got 3 boys, you know, with their girlfriends. Well, I was the same way when I was their age. I was too shy. I was too quiet. And guess what? I told my wife the other day, I'm going, are my kids ever going to really, you know, go out or whatever? They're probably dating without me knowing, you know. It's just, it's funny. I hear all like my friends' kids and everything else. Oh, they're having a kid or this or that. I was kidding my wife the other day. Like, are kids ever going to get married or have kids? She goes, don't rush it.
Yeah, don't leave it alone.
It's funny.
Leave it alone.
But it's funny though. Just you're always sitting here rolling in your head. Then you think back, oh, I was kind of the same way.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And here's the beauty about all of it. Everything we talk about, leaving the path by yourself and being isolated and trying to create a new chain or a new path on your own and trying to get people to follow that new direction, or following what already exists. And the beauty of all of it, there's not a right way. There's just not. You know, enlightened thinking is and being aware is a skill, and it's a great skill to have so that you can pay attention to your surroundings and make choices when needed. But it doesn't mean you have to go out on your own and leave the village and just try to storm the castle by yourself all the time. You don't have to be that person. But there's somewhere in between that, you know, the next generation is responsible of changing. You don't have to be your past and your parents. So just this soft mix of community and starting a small community within the community that believes in the new way of doing things. So you feel supported and you don't feel isolated or a little crazy or the other parents aren't giving you crap. Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear. Giving you crap when you're teaching your kids something different, and making you feel guilty, because that's happening every day. I watch my friends, their parents go through all this stuff all the time, like what do other parents think and all that crap. It's like, who cares? Are your kids happy? Are you happy? But it's not that easy. It's not that simple. You could feel isolated in a minute, but the point is there is no wrong way. And you think the only way that is right, that Chad kept going after this whole series, was keep close to your praise, keep close to the consistency in your life and your creator and the things, the reason he put you here, right? He knows what he's doing. Even when you don't, you're not supposed to have the plan. He has it. You're just supposed to follow the plan. Stop opening up boxes and throwing the instructions away and struggling for a half hour. They're in there because somebody smarter than you already made that thing, knows how to turn it on, hook it up, and build it. All you got to do is follow step 1, 2, and 3. And in God's eyes, 1, 2, and 3 is praise, praise, praise. That's it. Trust me.
And that's a learning step.
100%. Yeah, we all
Because
think,
I always throw them
we all think we're our own
directions
God, We think we're our own God sometimes, and we have control. We don't.
Especially when you throw your instructions away.
Go ahead, Portia.
I just wanted to say to Jason's point that, Jason, like a great question that you can ask yourself is would you want you to be your dad, right? Like you'd want yourself to be your dad, just like people say to ask yourself, would you want to be your own friend, right? And so like you're doing an awesome job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I liked what Michael said, like there's no right or wrong way. There's never.
We don't know.
And every child that you raise is going to be different, right? Because they all have a different personality. So you're going to have to, you're going to have to bend and flex, and what comes up for one might not come up for another one.
That's a big one right there. I'm glad you said that. That's a huge one. Like you have 2 parents,
right?
Multiple humans you can't pick one.
We're all different.
The freaking complexity of it. You have 2 humans, usually ages apart, different sexes, that you can't cue the same. So now there's another complexity of it. Now you got to be this chameleon. So you're teaching yourself too. You're teaching everybody in the house. Like you're all trying to do it. So
yeah, and I think it's just like give yourself grace, Jason, because yes, good luck, and just give yourself grace that like you're doing the best that you can with what you have, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, we grew up, like Portia grew up here. I grew up here. Obviously, my sister, but we had very different parents. Portia's parents versus ours. Amber remembers a lot more things than I do. In our growing up, but I think what I'm trying to get at really is we're all in the same space now. I don't know how your parents were, Jason or Megan. By the way, it's Megan's birthday, just so everybody knows. Was 2 days ago or yesterday? Birthday, wish her happy birthday. I should have started with that.
Happy birthday, Megan.
Pop up again.
Thank you.
There she is. But yeah, I think my point is we all had different parents and upbringings, both parents in the house or separated parents or whatever it was. Not good relationships with parents, great relationships with parents, multiple siblings, whatever it was. But guess what? I think what's brilliant is we're all sitting in this chat room together. How many years later? Whose parents would have been like, could have said any of us were anything? Nobody, because you can't figure that stuff out. There's no directions that come with a newborn. And there's definitely wasn't schooling about letting you know how that works. So there is no directions. It's just like you went through some stuff and you're trying to do the best you can to protect what's next. And I'm blessed with just knowing these people in this room and finding that whatever took you through life brought us here together. And that's the point, right? Small mini communities within the community.
Community is immunity.
I knew you wanted to say that. That's what I knew you wanted.
No, I just wanted to say that, like,
put your hand down.
We will always be students of Earth School, right? Like, no matter what, like Amber said, we will always be students of Earth School. So, and we're not supposed to know it all. We know like this much.
Dude, God is our dad, and the lawn, Jason's lawn, is the earth. Grass is always growing. Always gotta take care of it, dude.
Right.
Always gonna be grass to cut. Get outside, cut the grass. I love you guys. I appreciate you. We're coming up on the hour, so I'm gonna get going. So I'm gonna eat. But I appreciate you. This is the last ZOE, obviously, until May 15th. May 15th starts a new season, but we will be every Monday still Real Raw and Flaw, where I get to use a little more colorful vocabulary, as you know. And Portia will be sending out all information because next season, we're going to have another Connect group from somebody in this group. Portia's going to start her own Connect group through ZOE. She's done all the stuff in the channels with the culture class and spent time with them. She's been part of the chats every week and all the sessions. And she just really leaned into the community and the church. So I'm super excited about seeing what she's about to do. And it just means we get to meet more often. So amazing. I'm looking forward
It's
to
gonna be
it.
good. It's gonna be good.
Not as good as mine. Let's just get something straight.
Right. It's gonna be competition though.
But you'd be a close second.
I'm gonna be like right up behind you.
Yeah. 100%. All right. I love you guys. Have a wonderful night and I'll see you next week.